Tommy's. Have you heard about this? This shit.
Tommy,
He's
what is it,
accepted.
Tommy Tumbles?
Is it actually been accepted?
He's accepted the bet. Send the contract over.
Oh, so it's not been signed off yet, but he's sort of verbally accepted.
No, he's verbally accepted it. So
send the contract so I can remove some of those clauses.
But for those who don't know, Jake Paul basically said if Tommy Fury beats him, he'll give him an extra 500 grand on top of his £1 million purse or whatever. But if Jake Paul wins, he has to change his name from Tommy Fury to Tommy Fumbles.
So legally change his name?
For a year.
Wow.
And he's agreed.
And in the post-fight press conference, he would also have to be referred to by the journalists and anyone else as Tommy Fumbles.
For a year, I think it was.
No, but I read the clause, the way it's written, and it literally says, it stipulates in the post-fight interview, in the post-fight press conference. So he's making sure there's like that humiliation the second that might happen.
And that's the thing, you've got to give credit to Jake because he really knows.
The fact that he thinks this shit up is a genius, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
the tattoo.
No boxer's ever done this before, to my knowledge. Like putting extra added jeopardy on using his money. He's basically the chip leader at the poker table, just applying as much pressure to the other guy as possible and saying if they crack.
But you know what's weird about it is these guys all have a choice as to whether they fight him or not. Like,
but they don't though, because he is the lottery ticket. Yeah. So almost Tommy kind of has no choice because, like Jake rightly stipulated, your biggest payday so far was 200 grand off me, and now I'm going to give you $1 million. If you don't take this fight, you're in danger of never getting that kind of money.
Jake Paul needs the Fury name as well, like to fight a real boxer.
It helps him, yeah.
It really helps him as well. Because like at the moment, up until now, he hasn't been taken seriously as a boxer. Once he beats a boxer, he's taken even more seriously. But what I love about is he's starting to make me like him, and I've never liked him, which is incredible. But what I love about him is he makes it so hard for these guys to say no, because he says something once, and it'd be easy to let that go then. But then he just keeps chipping away, and like you say, putting more chips on the table, more chips on the table, till they think, I've got to do this. Yeah. Like, if I don't do it, what else can I do? Tyson Fury added the pressure to it, saying, if you don't beat him, I'll change his name for him. Like, the pressure's all on Tommy Fury.
Even Tyron Woodley, after the fight with Jake Paul, was like, I'm not getting that tattoo. Or I'll get it if you give me another fight. And I think he noticed that there was a stalemate between Tommy and Jake, and he was like, I've got an opportunity here. So he went and got the tattoo on his finger, just hoping that would drag Jake into a fight. Because when you think about pay-per-view, the amount of money that Tyron Woodley got just to turn up, and then you've got all the sponsorships, he probably made close to £3 million off that Jake Paul fight.
It was the biggest payday of his career.
By a mile.
Absolute mile.
For a lot of fighters, we were talking about on the last stream, like literally, that is big money for in boxing, unless you make it to world title. And not even when you make it to a world title fight. So it's not until you've normally become the champion you actually start to make money. So to turn down an opportunity like that, any boxer would be.
I guarantee you,
crazy.
Just for example, we seen two guys earlier we watched on the DAZN event, Fowler and Smith.
Yeah.
Pros, their combined purses would have come nowhere near a Jake Paul fight. Nowhere fucking near.
Nowhere near.
And that's one of the biggest nights.
And yeah, that's a big night in British boxing. So that just shows it's hard to turn down. But I do think there's something in this humiliation thing that he's going for, which is going to keep making people want to watch. He's adding to it.
The interesting thing is that don't you think that the Furies are kind of going along with it a little bit?
Oh,
because John Fury said of this, right? He said, Tyson said if Paul beats him, he's got to change his name, which he should do. If he can't beat Jake Paul, I'd smash him to bits with a bamboo stick myself. Tyson said, we'll kick the shit out of you as well. No pressure.
Tyson literally said he might as well retire. He said he's got ambition to be a world champion. If he can't beat a fucking YouTuber, he's got no hope. And this is the thing, though, is I kind of like that they're backing Tommy. Obviously, you've got to back your bro, but at the same time, I'm like, have you guys watched him box? Because there's every chance he'll lose this fight. Like, obviously, it's a toss-up. It could go either way. I personally would pick Jake, but even when Tommy's talking about it, he's like, there's no game plan. I'm going to walk straight over there. I'm going to smash him to bits. And I'm like, mate, you remember that 5'5" wrestler that you couldn't do anything with in 4 rounds, and yet I'm not saying he might not win a decision or whatever, but like you ain't annihilating Jake Paul when you couldn't even take that wrestler out.
Unless in the gym they're seeing something else, and maybe I think the pressure is getting him on the nights. Maybe he is better in the gym than what we've seen up to now, but based on what we've seen up to now, he's not shown anything far from it.
I've watched him hit pads, and I thought, you look good at hitting pads, but obviously...
Anybody can look good hitting pads.
Well, exactly, and pads don't hit back, and that's where he's getting clipped, was when he's exchanging, obviously his defence isn't there, but...
He'll never have a fight with more pressure on it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because
if pressure's a problem, bro...
Because there's no problem losing against another heavyweight boxer.
No. Yeah.
If you lose against Jake Paul, bro, it's over for you.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't...
yeah.
There's no coming back from
he
that.
becomes the laughingstock of the Fury family, and also, like, as he's walking into that ring, all he's going to be thinking of is Tommy fumbles.
That's going to take him off the fight because you'd be worrying about that. So like this is where Jake Paul's clever. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows it's constant mind games. He's bringing a new element into boxing where like in boxing it's all this gentleman sport and just
It's shit.
These are bringing the entertainment to boxing. That's what's great about it. And if you don't appreciate that, there's something wrong with you, because that's what boxing is. It's an entertainment business. And Jake's bringing that. It's just a different flavour to what the average boxing fans used to. But
this is the thing, is like, there's a reason why people will watch Game of Thrones. They'll watch, fucking women will have their soaps and all of that or whatever, Everyone loves a storyline, and that's the thing that boxing has struggled with. That's why Sky Sports never quite clicked on, and that's what Eddie Hearn's trying to do with DAZN. He's trying to do what the UFC did, and even then, they're still miles away. Building storylines, having a reason why you want to tune in. It's more important than the fight, and that's been proven now, time and time again.
There's just no household names. Back in the day when there was Eubanks, the Dog Destroyer, like these were like household names. Everyone knew there was a story. Like
But they were characters, weren't they?
They were characters.
They were like WWE wrestlers almost.
But it's like, I don't like to say it, but boxing, unfortunately, has got quite boring. Like you say, it's just two men turning up and fighting. Like, there's no entertainment. The press conferences aren't that exciting.
Mate, Fowler Smith is like a really high level of boxing.
Yeah.
And yet that press conference could have sent a glass eye to sleep. That's exactly the problem. Like, and it's no disrespect, but to me, you're both local lads. You both got personalities. I know they fucking have. I know they're hard cases.
Yeah.
Like, show it. Make people care. And I'm not saying be fake, but turn the fucking volume up at least, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, because they know it sells.
Yeah.
Boxers-
The worst thing I heard one of them say was, I could beat him every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Well, that's a fucking good line, mate. Fucking hell.
End of the day, boxers don't. Proper boxing fans wouldn't like to admit it, but do need the likes of Jake Paul just to remind them that. And they don't. I'm not saying that every boxer needs to turn into a Jake Paul, but like you say, they need to create an event.
But you've got the talent, right? Imagine you've got that talent.
Yeah.
Let's look at the people who had the spice and the talent. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Prince Nassim Hamed, Eubank, Nigel Benn, all of them. They made you give a fuck, and they could fight, so they had it all.
A great example of someone is what's his face, Conor Benn. There's a couple of fights before of his where I wasn't even interested in it. And in the last couple of years, you've seen him take on. He's grown into himself. Yeah. He's grown into his character.
I agree.
Maybe
he's doing
matured
it right.
a little bit more. But he's got this little bit of nastiness about him. He doesn't speak too much, but when he does, you listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a great example of someone that's made you start to become more interested in him because of the way he handles himself.
Yeah,
and the way
you don't have to like go crazy and start
Tiafimo as well.
Yeah.
I messaged you guys saying, yo, I just listened to an interview of his. I just loved listening to him. And he's not there trash talking anyone. But he's
turning the volume up, isn't he?
He's someone to listen to. He's someone that makes you think, I want to watch his next fight. And there's not enough of that.
There's not enough of that. Charisma.
No, if you talk the talk as well, you'll be given those bigger opportunities. And if you're given those bigger opportunities, then you're going to be able to really show your worth on the big stage.
On the one hand, there are some fighters who I would encourage to talk less. Deontay Wilder being one. What is seen don't have to be explained. Like, what are you talking about, pal? If you're seeing him cheat, fucking tell us. But yeah, it does feel that way. So the Tommy Jake fight looks like it's going to be happening the next few months.
I still don't think it happened.
In the next few months?
It's too much to lose.
Yeah.
Really?
I reckon so, yeah. December, maybe.
Wow.
I think Tommy will do everything in his power to make it not happen. Yeah. You'll be saying the right thing in front of the camera, but it is a risky fight for him. Like you said, if he loses...
I reckon when Tyson Fury went, if Tommy loses that XYZ, Tommy went, oh, for fuck's sake.
That's
Literally.
Just don't talk about it, boys.
Oh,
Because at that point, it wasn't happening, was it?
Yeah.
And then Tyson Fury started adding fuel to the fire.
I do love the way Big John and Tyson have ramped the pressure up
They
without
really are.
giving it. But in their head, they're like, if you.
Yeah.
This is the thing is in fighting. If you want to have that clout, you have to fucking earn it. And with the Furies, what I like about them, to be fair, is if you want this last name, you better fucking fight for it and be one of us. Otherwise, you can't change your fucking name.
it's bad enough having it on the outside, never mind in your own home, in your own
mate.
family. So
I love the way they're like, we like Jake Paul.
Yeah,
It's like-
and I can see why they like Jake Paul, because in a way, I do feel like there's a lot of similarities in between Jake and Tyson.
Mate,
the way that they are.
we've had them both in this studio, and for all their fighting ability might be completely different, the way they carry themselves and how they operate,
Bro, they
they're
know how to
different.
make a show.
Yeah.
They're both showmen.
Absolutely.
You know? And I do think as well that Big John and Tyson do overrate Tommy's fighting ability. But I guess we'll see when
But
they get in the ring.
There is ability there, and Jake Paul hasn't fought anyone with boxing ability. And that's where, it becomes... in my opinion, Tommy Fury is the favourite for that, just because of his experience
should be.
fighting other
He
boxers.
fucking should be.
But again, like Jake Paul and even his brother, there seem to be people that have dedicated themselves to it. Like from the outside looking in, you can think these are just clowns. Like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? But then they're putting the work in the gym, and when you're doing that, you're gonna.
it's the fact that they're mentally strong as well. I think they're used to the pressure. Like they've lived in a boiling pot of just come on, throw anything at you you want. You know what I mean?
They've been cancelled so much. But this is the thing: is the amount of abuse that these two lads have suffered because of their success, but also the things that they've done and that have pissed people off. When you come through that, speaking from personal experience, you feel pretty fucking bulletproof, like
Yeah.
and like being humiliated isn't a big deal anymore. But you're comfortable stacking the chips because you're like, what? I've been there before. Well, I can win from this. All right, then it's on now. So
It's recoverable.
I say that.
Liberating.
In boxing, the hardest bit about it is the mental side of it, because performance-wise, physically, everyone can be great in the gym, but on the big stage, like you say, that's when most people crumble. I know myself off experience. You can be great in the gym, sparring can go great, the camp can go great, but what generally as boxers, you aren't used to getting in front of the camera. It's like, especially in the amateurs, you go from amateur, you go pro. You haven't really had that level of exposure.
Right.
So like sort of the Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they're used to that now. So all they've got to work on the physical. And generally speaking, it's easier to have the physical aspect. The mental side, most boxers will tell you it's more mental than physical every day of the week. So that's the actual advantage they've got, starting the opposite way around, if you know what I'm saying.
I did think that from day one that would help them, but it's surprising how much it's helped them.
Well, obviously, they've actually got a bit of talent as well behind them, because, like I say, I really, especially, I personally rate Logan Paul more than I do Jake Paul, even a little bit more so after seeing the last performance of Jake. Not that he had a bad performance, I actually was impressed in spurts what he done, but they've definitely got natural ability as well. So,
Yeah.
because obviously I've been in boxing a long time, and the amount of years they've been in boxing to compete with the guys that
3 years, mate.
Yeah, it's not a long time, and I think everyone's putting pressure on them because of the YouTubers and they want to see them not do well, but actually they are doing extremely well. They're competing with guys, whether they're MMA, boxing, they're still competing with fighters, guys who've been in the ring far more than they have been in, whether it's an octagon or a boxing ring. So,
And that's the thing with Jake. He's capitalized on one of the greatest models of marketing in boxing, which is the Mayweather style of, people watch to see him lose, And that's the great thing about him,
you generally get more support that way, because
Yeah.
people want to see people get beat. It's unfortunately the way the world works. When people get to the top, people want to see them get knocked off.
Yeah.
That's the truth of the matter. So.